What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the #1 aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari. Join me on the next live safari on DSTV channel 183.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Greetings, Jambo Jambo, and a warm welcome to you in the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have a very beautiful sunrise. My name is Tim. Welcome aboard to your very own safari, live from the African wilderness. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to you in the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have a very nice, beautiful sunrise. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. What a very beautiful morning. I can hear the yellow-throated longclaw calling. Very melodious. It's about 17 degrees Celsius, about 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Very nice cold breeze. Remember, we're coming to you live. For your question and comments, hashtag WildEarth. For your young viewers, kids question at wildearth.tv. And on the YouTube comment section at FC. Please send us your comments and questions, and then we'll be ready to answer you. What a very nice morning. Now, last night there was lots of commotion going on. Lions roar. So we understand that the Bila Shaka males came in, and there's a lot of mating going around. We've seen some of the LAUR Pride lionesses mating with Walashe, and yesterday one of the River Pride lioness was mating with one of the six-pack who came, I think, 3 days ago. So it'll be actually interesting to see those males and what's happening within the Mara Triangle. Is there going to be a takeover in the Pride? So very warm welcome. Thank you so much for everyone being happy to welcome me back. So it will be very interesting to see those lions. As we enjoy this beautiful sunrise, let me take you over to another live location. Well, jumbo, good people. It's another beautiful morning, and I am here. I have found a nice pair of hippos, and looks like it's about time for them to get back to their pod. And this is a man-made pod, but they have made this their home, and it looks like they're having a reception. A few of them are going to welcome them. Yeah, the resident ones. They are normally 4, and looks like they're very excited to welcome 2 new friends. I know of the 4 to the right, but the 2 to the left are new ones, and I think they're having a reception. They're being welcomed by the 4. Let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, get crashing by the elephant from the left. Thank you very much, elephant. It's a beautiful morning. It's a wonderful time. Look at the light that we have. Yes, this is what the photographers love. Yes, looks like the 2 are really trying to get out of the way. There is one that's trying to get close to them. I don't know how it's gonna be, but definitely I know of the 4 resident ones, and the 2 are new. Let's see what's going to happen. Can hear the birds. They are very happy this morning. Yeah, can hear the cocky francolin, the rattling cisticola. Look at that. That is not very happy. Yes, remember to talk to us. Hashtag WildEarth. Questions and comments are very, very welcome. Looks like, after all, it wasn't all that bad. Looks like they know each other. They've met each other before. But now it is confirmed. We have 4 new hippos in this lovely little pod. And look at it. Jumbo, everyone. My name is Isaac, and on camera we have Bungay, and this morning our mission is to try and find you some more lions. Critter Freak, you say they're returning from the night shift. Yes, they are, and I think they get crashed into somebody's house, but it looks like all is well. Nothing to worry about. Just listen to the birds one more time, please. Yes, that is the sound of the oxpecker, who's behind me. And then there is the cisticolas and the chats. Everybody is waking up. That is not a very good sign when you see hippo like propelling its tail, swinging it back and forth. It's a sign of a standoff, anger, aggression. So it might be a male who has just moved in, and he knows that he has get crashed into somebody's house, and now he has to face the consequences. You can tell the guy facing away from us. I would say he's the main guy. Karen, Jumbo, are hippos territorial? Yes, they are. Yes, they have a territory in a stretch of a river. They normally dominate about 50 to 100 meters upstream and downstream. That is one male. He might have 50, 60 females. Here in this pod, definitely there will be either 2 or 1 pod of hippos, where there will be 2 males in either corner of the pond,
with all their females. So they are very territorial. This is a small pod. It's only about 30 square meters. It's very small. And I don't think it will fit a lot of hippos, but it is attracting attention. I'm seeing more and more. It started with 2, now it went to 4, and today we have 6. And it's a permanent water source. It's always been fed by a few streams coming from the hill. So I think they have found a new space, and it's going to be a territory for either one male or 2, but they'll stay in either corner of the pod. They normally spend about 10 hours outside, about 13 hours inside water. And the main reason is their skin is not fully developed. If they stay out very long, it will cause sunburn. They'll get too much sunburn, which could lead to death. Dehydration will lead to death. So to keep it moist, they say they stay in the water. Of course, they do produce what we call blood sweat. Looks like blood when they sweat when they're outside, and it protects them, but sometimes it's not as efficient. Yeah, that is a bull elephant walking casually. He's got no worries. It looks like he had a good night. Yeah, at the age of about 20 onwards, elephants can roam freely all by themselves or associate with other males. This guy, I would give him that, over 20. And usually they either out, like I said, together or alone. They move around until they reach maturity from the age of about 30 plus, when they're big enough, intimidating, and they're ready to mate. They have to fight other males, of course, for them to be allowed to mate. The females in elephants usually choose who to mate with, so they have to prove that by being the best. And female elephants do that, they do know that. But females come into season around from the age of about 13. So for males it takes much, much longer. But once they're in season, they can stay in season for over a year, roaming all the plains looking for females to mate with. Yeah, the population of elephants is doing really well. It's coming back. And we'll be able to share that with you later on when we have all those young ones that are dotted everywhere. Here, looking at things, things might get worse later on, because the guy to the right is inching in slowly. Sherry Jumbo, will the elephant get into the dam while the hippos are there? Yes, of course. He is not bothered by any animal out here, especially this size. Nobody worries him apart from man. He can do whatever he wants. If he thinks he wants to get a drink from the dam, he will do that without any hesitation. Of course, the hippos will try and stay in one corner, and if he gets close, they will get out. Well, the Hiwi is almost twice the biggest hippo, so that size is enough to tell the hippos that you have no chance. Better be safe and get out. But they rarely, collide, and they have mutual respect. Yeah. Dorothy Ann is there's going to be the referee. Well, if he knew there was something brewing, we could have decided that, but looks like he's happy chewing away and not bothered to interfere with other people's business. Yeah, he might have a long nose, but he tries to keep it away from people's business. Yeah, definitely there is a standoff here by the body language being portrayed. Those two are nuanced. You can tell they're trying to tell each other, "Ooh, look at this. What just happened? What did we do?" I wish it would be dark so quickly so we could get back to the river. Maybe that's what they're saying, because these three are surely facing them. They could have been together if they were from the same pod. So definitely there is something happening. Anyway, this is such a lovely sight, but it's very early and I'd like to find you something else. So let's take you to another sighting, a live sighting, while I move on.
Welcome back to this side of the Mara, where we have a bird of prey, as we call it, the raptor. That's called a black-chested snake eagle. The snake eagle is actually preening its feathers while scanning around. So sometimes these birds will always perch and stay for long as they scan around for prey. As their name suggests, they'll always go on snakes, but sometimes you see them going after rodents, lizards, grasshoppers. So these birds of prey, like especially the snake eagles, their legs and toes, they don't have feathers just because they want to help them to protect their legs, because they have heavy scales. Now, actually these two, if Big James can pan a little bit, we can see the other one perched on a tree not too far from the first one. This seems to be a pair, because mostly what happens, these birds are territorial. They'll always wander off their territory, which is about 2 square kilometers. So they don't always inhabit intruders within their territories. And this territory, depending on how they are, availability of food, water, they can always stick within their territory for about a year. They have very short toes, very sharp talons, which help them to subdue prey. Sometimes when they locate a prey, they can dive bomb, or we can see them hovering up in the air. It's very interesting when that birds of prey like this one, they use the trails left by the mammalian rodents that walk on the grass. So when they urinate, that urine, these birds of prey can be able to see that trail of urine in an ultraviolet ray, where they are able to follow and know where these rodents nest. Because most of the time when they're perched on the tree like that, they're scanning for grass rats and grass mice. And so the help of their very good vision can actually lead them to a nest. In the morning and in the late afternoon, you'll see them perched up on trees like this to locate for such prey, which always move around in the long grasses. Snakes fall a big part of their diet. But when it's cold like this, when it's chilly, you only see them going after the rodents. So most snake eagles have buffy heads, so the feathers also add an extra protection. But sometimes those feathers can be a hindrance when it comes to snake catching, because most of the time you find that other eagles, when they have buffy legs, they cannot really catch snakes because the buffy legs can become a hindrance to them catching snakes. And that's why you see these snake eagles. We have the black-chested snake eagle, brown snake eagle. They've become professionals, suitable for going after snakes because they don't have feathers on their toes or feet. And in that case, they have scales which protect them from the snake's bite. So different adaptation that help species to go after prey in this kind of environment. In the early morning, that is a typical behavior you see in birds. They will always preen their feathers, clean their feathers as they're sunning. So this bird, sometimes they can stay there for about even 2 hours without moving, just only twisting and turning their heads. So just carry on to see what else I can find as I take you over to another live location.
Good morning and welcome to andBeyond Ngala. We have a nice cool morning in the Timbavati riverbed, and we were just looking at 3 amazing, very, very big jackalberry trees. And what a beautiful spot, perfect spot in the shade. Myself, I'm JAPIE, and behind the camera we have Owen. And we decided to start out this morning to drive the Timbavati riverbed and see if we can pick up on any signs. Now, when you're driving along the riverbed on this reserve, you always have a lookout for leopard as well. But that's not necessarily what we're looking for this morning. We were just looking to see maybe we might pick up on some owls early morning sitting in the shade of these big trees, or we might pick up on some elephants along the riverbed. Like that. Sounds like quite an upset elephant somewhere on the bank. And I think I can even see an elephant way, way, way up there. Can only see the tail. Oh, and this might be a little bit tricky to see. I think it just moved. But there's also a chance that they might come down into the riverbed. I can hear some branches breaking. And this time of the year, the elephants spend a lot of time along the riverbeds and the floodplains near the riverbeds. In this particular area, they come because that's where most of the grasses are at the moment. And I've been noticing over the last couple of days that the elephants have mostly been eating grass, especially the bull elephants. And early morning is when they're most active. Today's going to be a pretty hot day here in Ngala. There's not even a breeze going at the moment to cool things down. And because of the cool air that's still in and around the riverbed at the moment, we do come to look for animals that move away from the hotness of the day here. So 30, I think, 50. There is possibly a predator nearby. I don't know why they are that distressed. It might also be that there's young bulls in this area that probably came across a herd with babies, and the larger elephants were not too excited to see them. But it could very well be that there was a predator. But I guess we'll never know, unfortunately. Unless we sit here for a while longer, see what happens. I don't know if we will be able to really know the answer to that question. But I think we'll see what we can find out.
Good morning and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve, everybody, in the Sabi Sands, where we've got Mrs. Wig sitting on her nest in some wonderful golden morning light. How are we all doing today? I hope you're having a wonderful start to your morning. Hello everybody, my name is Steve, joined by Morgan on camera, and as always, very excited to have you with us. We've been following up on some tracks and some audio of a female leopard this morning, but unfortunately we haven't managed to locate. Seemingly Tlalamba, somewhere around camp, gone into the drainage. There's a couple other vehicles working on those tracks now, but we've got a bit further south. I'd like to follow up on the last position of the Djuma Pride from last night. We left them just here at Twin Dams. So we're just checking the eastern side, see if they've crossed the river. Then if they're not at the dam when we get there, we'll check the south and the western side and see where they've possibly gotten to. But the females were quite full last night, so it's possible they might not have gone anywhere. We shall see. You can hear the classes cuckoo in the background there. It's a wonderful morning for sounds. Got herself a nice sunny morning spot, doesn't she? In the heat of the day, protected by those tambutis above her. We're into the third week or so of this nest. And I wonder exactly what day will the eggs hatch. Eggs are asynchronistic, which means that after laying, she will sit and lay another egg. So you'll often get them hatching earlier. Cantrell, she looks very cozy, doesn't she? Very camouflaged into the bank there. Got a really nice spot, and if it was a nice cool winter morning with that sun, it would be the most ideal spot. It's a little bit cooler this morning, a bit of a mist on the horizon after yesterday's temperatures. It's quite nice to have some cold hands this morning. But we're going to carry on, see if we can find any tracks of the Pride, see where they've gotten to. Okay, so we're almost certain, pretty much right here on the right-hand side from where this female is nesting is where we found Sebwig the first time, or where Seb and, I can't remember who it was, James or Lauren or Trish, right here. So it's unlikely that it would be a completely different pair hanging out in the exact area of the previous pair. And they're highly territorial, although they can be spaced a few hundred meters apart, 500 meters apart. And these are right on the spot. So obviously we didn't see the nest last time, but when he was found first, it was in a bush right next to where this female is nesting. So it kind of makes sense. And they've gotten quite relaxed because we spent a lot of time around them. Initially they were very skittish. And then eventually they realized that there was nothing untoward came from our presence. And so they've calmed down. Okay, well, let's go see if we can find some tracks of the Pride.
Good morning, everyone. Very warm welcome and a very good morning to Tswalu Kalahari. Fantastic sunrise we are having over here. Good morning. My name is Carl. Behind camera is David. Hello, hello, hello. And what a fantastic morning it is. A little bit of cloud cover, nice and cool. And we're going to be moving in and about this area, seeing what we can scratch up for this morning. It's good to be back. It's good to be back into the bushes. We're going to be looking for anything small and elusive this morning. So we're going to go look at the dam area, see what we have there, and go a little bit further south, and hopefully we can find the rock stars. They were unlocated yesterday, so hopefully we can find some telltale signs, a little digging, a little tail mark, maybe little feet crossing the road somewhere that could give us an indication or a direction where these little animals have gone to bed. But enjoying the creative aspect of nature early in the morning. Everybody waking up, including myself. So it looks like we've got a bit of cloud cover today, which is fantastic for animal activity when there's a little bit of a cover that keeps things cooler for a longer period, extended period, and that obviously increases the activity levels of animals. So hopefully this cool overcast condition that we've got today provides with a beautiful platform to find something really interesting. Not that everything is interesting, but something special, something nice. I'm always out and look for something nice. Looking in all the bushes. Our dawn chorus in full swing. Everybody singing, everybody notifying to everybody else that we are currently here. And if you come into this area, you're going to have to contend with me. But just a nice way to start the morning where appreciating the sun, the clouds, all the simple things that we just kind of high speed past all the time. The beautiful Coronaburg set nicely. Oh, I've missed the view. Definitely do miss it when you are not on it. Get to a point where like, oh, I miss my driver's seat. All right, well, we're just going to take a little drive from here. Tim, beautiful Coronaburg Mountains it is. I just, day in, day out, I just don't get enough of it. It is really spectacular. Just to sit and just to observe and just watch. It's a real treat. Anything small, we're going to take it nice and easy. See what we can pick up. Obviously, the slower we go, the more attention we pay, the better it is or easier it is to find these little animals. We're going to send you off and we'll see you shortly.
Good morning everyone and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. Myself and Gert have come out this morning and we went straight to where we last saw those cheetah yesterday afternoon, just to see if anything had happened at the remains of that in Ngala. And as we were getting closer and closer, no sign of the cheetah, but we did spot a hyena, and that's what brought us to where we are right now. We've been following the hyena and trying to get a good enough view of it, but unfortunately it's now disappeared. We followed it to where we think there is a den site, but there's no real access to the actual den. So we eventually lost sight of the hyena moving off into the bush. But I think for this morning, we're going to try get a little bit of a different change of scenery, because we have been spending quite a bit of time in the same area with these cheetah. So we're going to be heading out to the western part of Phinda, where there's some beautiful open grasslands. There's a good chance of finding you some white rhino this morning. There's another pride of lions in that area. And of course, because it is open grassy clearing or big open grassland, there is more chance of other cheetah there as well. Some big herds of buffaloes. So yeah, we're going to try that out this morning. Yes, I was really excited that hyena actually grabbed a piece of the Ngala, leg piece, and was carrying it. And we've followed it now for about, I don't know, probably around about 1.5 kilometers. And I really thought we were going to get to show you Phinda hyena. But today is not that day. We just have to keep trying. So this is not what the roads normally look like on Phinda. Oh, Beverly, that's a really good question. So Beverly's asking, do the animals adapt to their surroundings? Now, I'm not sure I completely understand the exact reason behind the question, but animals are very well suited to adapting to their surroundings. Oops. Oh. We might be in a bit of a ditch at the moment. While Gert and I try to get out of this hole, we're going to send you off to another live location.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve, to your live safari from African wild. Sitting with a beautiful dinner. What a morning. My name is Andrew, on camera Theo. So his thumbs up already. So we came to this very den where it's active with one, looks like a cocky. I mean, not a cocky, but a robin, sorry. Looks like a robin lying there. Just saw the cub. I came out, spent a time with her, the two of them, and I've moved back to the den again. So we're on the eastern side of the den from here. It's what, 45 meters away. She can still see the den in case there is a problem back there. And the other cubs just ran back to the den for probably joining the other young member. Or probably because of still morning, they hasn't yet started to run around here. Most of the other mothers not arrived yet, so it's only this robin that came in. It's kind of a show, if probably the same clan that they were running around up north yesterday morning. Possibly. They all move around too much, caused by their hunting during the night for the big cats. Wherever's a lion, leopard, cheetah, you'll find hyena in the area. Remember, they're doing very good imported work out there. They dealing with all cleaning or remain of the bone, skin, anything. So I'm going to stay and put here while I'm sending you to another live safari.
Yes, here I am with multiple species of birds. The first one close to us is a family that you're all familiar with. They have become part of me in the last few months. This is the grey-crested crane. This is the kind of area you find them, marshy areas and habitats up to 3,000 meters. Looks like the young grey-crested crane doesn't like the hammerkop and is trying to get rid of it. Look at that. What happened? Yeah. Those are hammerkops, the brown one. In Afrikaans, it means hammerhead. And if you look at the head, it looks like it's a hammer. And then at the back there is the gray-headed heron, black-headed heron and gray-headed heron. Both of them are there. They are both related. The hammerkop is related to the herons. They are in that family. Yeah, they're all here because there is grasshoppers, maybe, and frogs, and that's what they are really here for. Well, I'm gonna stick here for a little bit. Let's take you to another live location.
Welcome back, everybody. We just had the most incredible walk by of this herd of elephants. And they've chased the lions that are hanging around by twin dams. So the lion pride is here with the one Avoca male, Blondie, and this wonderful herd of elephants. I feel so blessed to have had 30 elephants walk right next to us. Let me move up, see if we can get in front of them again. They're very relaxed, considering there's a pride of lion around. The lions are still there, so they haven't gone far. They're very relaxed, considering. But they get to this really tight-knit little group together. And they just came and said hello, which is, hello, elephants. You are so gorgeous. Going to turn around here and they're going to walk past us again, I hope. They like to walk past us, so we'll just stop right over here and allow them to make the distance. Now they choose to come close, so they could obviously veer around us if they wanted to, but they choose to walk closer, which is okay. As soon as we've seen them, we're going to go over to the lions who are playing in the bushes over there. You can hear an elephant shouting at a lion. And here comes the mama. She's also going to go shout at the lions. Looks like they're slowly going to head over towards Treehouse Dam. They didn't drink at Twin Dams. Just over that elephant's back. There's a lion at the back there. Can you see, Morgan? I don't know if you're too high. There we go.
Well, our hammerkop here looks like he's a bit cold, but it is a tactic and a technique to stay still as much as possible until he was spooked. Beautiful, look at that. Until it was spooked by that vehicle, moving. And so they're all there. You can see hammerkops. Definitely, there is maybe an influx or an outbreak of frogs or certain kind of insects, and that's why all these guys are here. That is what they feed on. They feed on fish, they feed on frogs, tadpoles, grasshoppers, spiders, dung beetles. That's what they feed on mostly, and they pair for life, the hammerkops. This is a bird that builds an extraordinary nest. It's so big. I have seen a leopard actually use one. we'd make a joke and say that it's a self-contained nest. It's so big and it's got everything that you can think of, from bones, little metals, if it can find them, materials, sticks, skin, you name it, it's on that nest. It is so big, it's almost a meter square. I don't know how long it takes them. I've tried to find out, but I saw one and I left before it was finished, and it was almost 2 months. So they have a very, very big nest for very small birds. Yes, hammerkop, they are called hammerkops. It's a bird that takes off, little flies. That's why they're there. Look at them, how still they are. You might think that they're cold, but they're not. They're waiting for that. You see that, the one to the left? He was staying still, and then all of a sudden he dashed to get something. That is the technique they use. They stay still, like, I'm just chilling. And then, boom, they hit something very fast. That is a technique that they use here. So look at them, quite still, the one to the right. And sometimes you find them in waters, staying still, waiting for a movement underwater, and then they stab with their long beaks. Also, we do have Egyptian geese over there, Bungay. You see them? I don't know if you can see them. Can we share that? It's really beautiful. Quite a good number of them. It looks like it's a family. Yeah, it looks like it's a family. Look at that. All out, heading out on a morning stroll. Quite a good number of them. This is the Egyptian geese. In most Egyptian drawings, you will find it there. And I think that's how it got its name. Looks like a duck, flies like a duck, but it is a geese. This is a pair, and they're almost sub-adult, young ones. That is a hammerkop that just flew. Yeah, these guys mainly feed on, plants. Their diet mainly consists of plants. That is what they feed on. So right now they're feeding on grass out there as they head towards water. The parents are not very worried now because the youngsters can fly, so in case of danger, they can just take off. But when they are really, really young, they rarely venture out into the open like this because, it's very dangerous. A jackal can come and grab one. But now they're out, you see them eating the grass. How beautiful is that? Can be very, very noisy when they want to. Remember, continue talking to us. #WildEarth. Questions and comments are very, very welcome. Usually they mate, and then a female will lay up to around 20, 21, 22 eggs, which she incubates for up to around 30 days, 31. And mortality rate is very high in the first few days. Remember, the type of eggs they lay, and when they hatch, they're called precocial, because when they hatch, as soon as they hatch, they are on the move, because survival is of the essence, so they have to be on the move immediately. They hatch precocial eggs. Those are chickens, ducks, many birds that have to move immediately. Ostriches, they're precocial. Very busy grazing here. Okay, I'm gonna try and move on. They're moving out of our angle. Well, Carol Jumbo, how many eggs do they lay approximately? I said about 22, 23 I have seen in a nest, but not all of them will hatch because the heat is concentrated in the middle. So maybe about 15 will hatch, and those 15, maybe 8 will reach maturity. Yeah, the incubation period is around 30 days, 28 days, 30 days. All right, let's move on. We've gone out of an angle. I think as I go my way, let me take you to another live location.
So while we were still driving along the riverbed, we came across this male battalier. You can see he's perched quite high up in a tall jackalberry. He's sitting right on the bank of the Timbavati riverbed. If we look closely at this Bateleur, we can see the grey at the top of the wing. And then it's also got a rufous brown back. Now he was bothered a little bit by some of the smaller birds in the area. And he's got a little bit of sunlight on him, but he seems to be mostly in the shade. You can see his head's down, he's busy preening himself. If you have a look at that, you can see the feathers moving. Sorting himself out for when it gets warm enough, a little bit later in the morning. I'm sure he's going to use some of those thermals of warm air rising to get up and start flying around. And you'll notice he's preoccupied with cleaning himself and grooming himself at the moment. And he's not looking around too much. And I wonder, because the mate should be around somewhere within this area as well. I know that there's a nest not too far from these parts. I don't think they're breeding at the moment, or I haven't seen any chicks around. You can see there's a dove sitting off to the right of him. And what a view he's got. Almost like that little branch that he's sitting on is perfectly made specifically for him to perch there with a slight bit of shade. When these large birds of prey, because they're so heavy, they use a lot of energy to get up and fly, so they usually wait for the thermals later in the morning, which will just save them that amount of energy that they would spend to try and get up. So when they do that, they often have a strategic perch, like this particular tree. They've got a pretty good vantage point. And although we're in the riverbed and we can't see up on the bank on that side, the side that he's facing towards is the side that the sun's rising from, so on the eastern side. But then there's also quite large clearings and larger trees that side with some vultures nesting. Shamsua is also having a bit of a look to see if there might have been any hunting that happened in this area during the night. I heard some of the other guys were following up on lions in this area. Kune, this bird's name does sound like a French royal, sorry. And that's actually because it is a French name. So the Bateleur was a French tightrope walker. And if we do get to see this bird fly later in the morning, it's usually with a rocking motion from side to side, looking like something balancing with its arms to try and not fall off the rope. And that's where the name comes from. But it's a very beautiful bird as well.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, unfortunately, you lost us again. I do apologize for the technical issues. Such wonderful encounters. Another herd of elephant arrived and chased the lions off. I haven't gone very far. There's one of the youngsters, and behind it comes Purple Eye with still a bit of an injured back right leg. That she seems to walk off pretty quickly, but they're still giving her some trouble. But as anticipated, the lionesses were still too full last night to have moved any substantial distance. And they only moved as we arrived because a herd of elephants were on their way. And they know very well to move out of the way of elephants. Another herd arrived and then chased them some more. We just had a scene now when two of the boys, the old... Watch this, one's going to jump. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh. Tackle. Where two of the older boys, Ridge-Nose's boys, walked up to Blondie, the evoker male, and tried to rub his face. He growled and snarled at them, saying, "I don't like kids." And then one of the lionesses walked past and rubbed his face. He got very excited and jumped up and started giving her a good old smell. So he definitely is into the ladies, but not into the children. His brother is down south in Mala Mala mating with one of the Kabaku Pride, I believe, one of the females at Mohawk. And the other brother, Darkmane, is still with Telemates, last I heard, up in the north after finishing their buffalo yesterday. The elephants are still nearby. The lions are alert. Lionesses are not too bothered anymore. Of another vehicle in the sighting, you might be able to hear it.
Inakuja. Welcome to the Mara, where we come to the Mara River. It seems like these hippo are very much enjoying. I'm so happy this morning because the water level is rising up. I was here about a week ago and the water level had gone down, and I had seen hippos concentrating on a very small spot and actually others going towards the edge. Sometimes when these water levels get low, depending on where the hippo are, the river, the lakes, or even small ponds, there's always fights that come about. But this morning I'm happy because when the water level is going up high, so these hippos will spread about. Now that small crush there consists of mainly about females. Now They're only dominated by a big bull who owns a very big stretch. And actually it's reckoned that they can be about over than 50 hippos within there. I can see they're resting. One is actually resting actually two. They're resting their heads on one of the hippo's back. A typical behavior, especially for the young ones who will do the same. When after birth, hippos will bring back their calves at around 2 weeks, 10 to 2 weeks. When they come back into the water, the young ones always do that because they're too small to be going up and down for air. So they always cling onto their mother's back like that for air. I can see lots of swallows here. Very peaceful, quiet. The water is so dark and brown. Seems like it's been raining upstream. You can see the color, very dark color. Jake, thank you for your question. I've seen a hippo about, if I give it an estimate, it was about 2.5 tons. Actually, it was a very big bull. He was fighting off a younger bull. And actually, it was interesting because they fought for about 2 hours. And at one point, he tossed over the younger bull into the river. Can you imagine falling about 3 meters from the bank all the way to the water? So that is one of the biggest bull I've ever seen. But we always see big hippos, but that one was a gigantic one. If you look closely, just to where I'm pointing, just as Big James is panning around, the grass level around the bank has been very much grazed. You can see very nice. You can almost tell that there was a lawnmower there. I can see holes of bee eaters and swallows on the bank. You will see them resting during the day, in the early morning, late afternoon. But sometimes you see them walking up and about, going to graze, and then come back. But typically because of their skin, they can get sunburn. That's why they're always in the water during the day. There are also some biting flies that disturb them a lot, and that's the reason why you'll find them in the water. Carol, thank you again for your question. Now, hippos will give birth out on land because sometimes these waters can be torrent, and that can be a little bit dangerous if the hippo gives birth in the water. So they always walk out after about a period of 8 months, then they'll head off to the ground on land, pick a suitable place where they give birth, and then after about 10 to 14 days, they'll bring the calves into the water. So the only thing that young ones do, they always nurse in the water because they have that ability to close their nostrils and then suckle. But always it's a preferable place on land for them to give birth. So during the day or whatever time they're in the water, they always defecate in the water. And sometimes you find when the water is not running like this, because this morning I can see the water is a little bit fast flowing. In other days when the water is a little bit stagnant, but moving slowly, you find that there's a place where there will be always lots of hippo poop or hippo dung piled in one particular place. So that can also be food for fishes that are in this river, especially the catfish. So nothing goes into waste. Although you see them in the water, they never eat plants under water. They always have to walk out of the water to go and graze. And that is a typical behavior, like watching them walking out of the water or when they're coming back into the water. So at dusk, you'll see the big bulls always leading the entire pod or raft out to graze. And these bulls are the ones that mark the territories, and they're always so much dominant. So I'm going to stick around here and watch as these hippos enjoy, because the water is actually running and everyone seems happy. You can see the swallows flying over, the hippos resting on each other's back, as I take you over to another live location.
It makes me happy that there's a happy scene in the Mara. It makes me smile. Lovely, lovely southern oryx. Nice breeding herd that we got here. Also looking very happy. There's a few young just off to the left. That's quite a large group. It's easily about 12 individuals here. They're just crossing through the... There's the young ones. You can see their tawny colour. And obviously their shoulder height being a lot lower than the sub-adults and adults. Also shorter horns. There's an adult. It's always just important to sit and watch antelope like this, because they could really be an early warning system or early detection of a predator. Their senses are highly tuned. So just sitting, observing and appreciating them does sometimes allow us to follow up on animals that we didn't know that were there. Beautiful. So those mothers can really put those horns to good use. They're very, very efficient at defending their calves from predators. They'll actually have a defensive formation that they'll put the calves into in case of the unlikely event of a predator here. So everybody huddling in the middle, all the small ones in the middle, and basically on the outer ends or periphery you'd have the adults, obviously horns pointing forward. A very, very efficient form of defense. I mean, being stuck... Whoa! Behave yourself. Is that a male? Must be a bull. Sure, what a beautiful sight. So these groups are mainly consisting of females, and then you'll have males going in search of these female groups, checking their reproductive status by behavior referred to as Fleming grimace, to see if anybody is obviously coming to the right reproductive stages in order to mate. It's a very efficient way of not using energy and expending time. If you can sense and pick up that a female is not in the ready state, you might as well just give up there and then. Whereas in some people are a bit persistent, some males are a bit persistent, but a very efficient way of just knowing the chemical cues being sent over, knowing what status or where you are within the social realms, let's say it that. Lovely. Everybody moving in the same direction. tummy's looking big, the one at the back there. It's a little male. But a very powerful antelope. You can see as it walks, you can see its muscles and the shadows casted alongside of the body. And just how muscular those forequarters are. Alright, for now we're going to send you off to another amazing location and we'll see you later.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. And with some maneuvering and very expert guiding skills from Gert, we managed to get out of that hole. And look what we've managed to find here. I think you should all have seen it by now. That little frog that you can see right in the middle. Sorry about that. Right in the middle of your screen is a little frog with some beautiful markings and colorations on it. And that is called a painted reed frog. As we were driving past, Gert and I have been desperately looking for snakes, and this little white speck stuck out. And he stopped and had a look, and yeah, it turned out to be this little frog. And his white color will be more pronounced and stronger now, his white coloration, because of the sun. So he's trying to reflect as much light and heat or sunlight so that he avoids overheating. So the white will be more and more, well, much more pronounced at the moment because he doesn't want to lose too much water. And there isn't too much water around, so the immediate area where we are now, there were some puddles about a month ago after we had some rain. But those puddles have dried up, so that little reed frog has moved up into the tree to avoid things like snakes that might look for him and be hunting him on the ground, snakes and some birds. And he's moved up into the trees there, and although he does stick out a little bit once you've spotted him, his camouflage, he blends in pretty well. So those stripes that he's got, the black stripes that break up the white, are designed to break up his outline and his shape, so that he doesn't look like this prominent little white snack. He's got these black lines that break up his shape really nicely and help him to blend into all those little twigs around him. They are really beautiful little frogs. They've got such stunning colors and markings on them. So this was just on our way across to the western parts of Phinda. That is still our plan. But on the way, we're looking out for snakes. There's a particular type of snake that I'm really keen to find and try and get on the show for you guys. It's called a vine snake, and the head of a vine snake actually looks very similar to this little painted reed frog, except it has no white on it. It has a little bit of white on it, but it's mostly green, where green and some darker, so stripes of green and stripes of grey on the head. And then the rest of the body is completely grey and looks exactly like a branch. And we see quite a lot of them in this area, in a similar place to where this little reed frog is. The vine snake doesn't eat the reed frog though. They mostly go for for small birds, and they do like to eat chameleons. So it is heating up here today. So the little painted reed frog, for a person, yeah, it's definitely not something that you want to try and eat. You see, it had those pretty prominent markings. So it had that very striking black and white with some orange edges, and that orange color is an aposematic coloration that is there to warn predators and all other animals, for that matter, that this little creature is poisonous and shouldn't be eaten. So I think for now, Gert and I are going to keep going, heading in the direction of those beautiful open grasslands on the western side of Phinda, and we're going to keep a lookout for anything along the way there. But yeah, we'll see what we can find for you this morning.
So we are currently driving a small little riverbed that runs into the Timbavati, and we picked up on the tracks of what seems like a mother and a cub leopard, and the one set of tracks is coming this way, which seems to be the mother. So we've decided to come across and drive this riverbed to see if what is happening. But at this point, there's not too much going on here. There's a lot of different birds calling in this particular section, and it's a nice shady spot. But there is a very, very large, very beautiful tree up ahead that we know that the leopard that moves within this area, the female leopard that's territorial here, she kind of uses it as one of her favorite spots. At least she used to. In fact, I haven't seen her in that area for quite a long time. But along this riverbed, there's also the chance of encountering herds of elephants. There's a large watering hole not too far from here. And we're hoping that we might get lucky with something like that. Now, it's just started warming up quite a bit here, and it's still quite nice and cool down in this riverbed, and I think the elephants will start making their way this way to start feeding.
It's on hunger and open areas. Hello everybody, back with us, just having a chat with one of the landowners in the north about potential cheetah activity. We wanted to know, when do cheetah start moving normally? And well, the clouds are pulling over. There's a nice little bit of sort of coolness pulling in, and as our lions try to find some shade, the coolness is actually quite welcome right now. So at any stage, cheetah could really be moving. If they're hungry, they could move at night. It's just due to competition with regards to bigger predators that causes cheetah to not really do too much at night. But they're still very alert at night, as they could get caught unawares by some lions. So to answer my friend's question from the north, cheetah could definitely start moving in any stage. It really depends on the conditions. And obviously if there's lions in the area, they'll move. So that could be in the middle of the dark. It is quite bright at the moment due to the fact that there is a moon. allow you a few moments of quiet to just absorb turtle doves and the cisticulas. Wonderful way to start the day. Not sure wants to know if lions chew on grass. Yes, of course. Big cats and dogs will all chew on grass so as to induce vomiting. You'll probably have your domestic dog and cat at home doing the same thing. With cats specifically, it's because of all the licking that they do. You see how much licking they do here? All that fur gets into the stomach and it gets stuck inside, or should I say it sits on top of the stomach, and they need to get it out. The only way to do so is to eat grass, and that will cause them to vomit. So you'll find them doing it quite often. They also regurgitate bone shards and hooves, and you'll see dogs doing the same thing, because they also, hyenas can ingest and digest bone and hair, but they'll also sometimes cough up enormous fur balls. Here comes a beautiful lioness from the right. She's going to say hello to somebody. We'll see who's she going to pick. She's going to eat some grass. What a opportune moment. So there we go, not sure. You're seeing this in real life. The lioness has gone and shown you. We do indeed. When you do see them eating a lot of it, you must just be aware, because soon afterwards you can often find a little bit of a chest heaving, followed by a very foul-looking paste of vomit coming out. I often can't watch. Works for us as well. If you go and you eat that fresh grass over there, it will induce your vomiting as well. Many locals in South Africa will actually drink salt water to do the same thing. You go down yourself a couple cups or half a litre of salt water, promise you, you will purge your stomach very quickly. And some people enjoy that sort of thing. Helps to cleanse, helps to remove stuff that you might not be able to digest.
Great, good idea. Thanks, Steve. Of course, cats do eat grasses when they got their old tummies sore, get rid of their old acid. Here we come across a beautiful herd of elephants, but most of them in a thicket, only that one that is available right now. But you can see also that she's going to also move into that wood, but they're probably going to come out to the... We're not far from the camp here, so they're heading in the direction of Galago Pen at the moment. It's kind of like foggy on the background. I was not actually expecting this when we started with that kind of a temperature. But, you know, it's kind of like coming from the east, which is, it's a good result for most animals. Be much active, even it's a daylight. Cloudy provide cooler for them. But sometimes when it's windy, it can actually be cold for them. As you can see on the background there, it's all foggy taking place, heading our way. And the elephant is still there, as they do all their best, getting all nutritious. As still better chance for them, the temperature, it's cool, and they're all just going to stand, move around pretty much. When I'm saying herd, it probably might be 15 of them here that I saw. So I know Steve is kind of like have another herd somewhere to dam close to those lines. I'm also assuming that could be the same group because these tracks also came from that side. A separation happens sometimes. And I wouldn't mind too much when they separate in such a group where they all still safe here, all the females should all take care of the other group as they move through. She's so beautiful. Looks like an older female. Looks like an older female there. They're probably going to just appear in front of us here. So I'm going to stay put while I'm taking you to another live safari.
So welcome back to the Mara, where we've come across a lone hippo bull, and it looks a little bit skittish as he went to this marsh. When I look at his skin or his body, he looks like he has some scars, but they're all healed up. This looks like he was ousted from the river, and that's what typically happens when these bulls are ousted out. They always seek a suitable place where they'll rest and be for as long as they live, because when hippo bulls fight over territories, the loser always has to leave his previous territory, or if he doesn't leave, then it can be fatal, and sometimes it can end to death. And that's why he looks a little bit skittish. As soon as we got here, look at how he's looking at us. And because there's no water around here, so sometimes they have to walk a long way until they find a suitable place to rest. Jack, thank you for your question. Yes, hippos can run a little bit fast. They can run about 30 kilometers an hour. I can imagine for that kind of heavy animal like that, weighing about 2 tons, running at 30 kilometers an hour. So that they're pretty fast. So when I'm walking safari, we always make sure we watch around or behind the bushes, because you never know what's behind the bush. Just look at where he went to. He just left the swamp and went right behind the bush. Since he's gone, I'm going to carry on to find something else as I take you over to another live location.
Welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari, where as you can see the cloud cover is really starting to dominate the area. You can see like this white glow almost being produced, and this beautiful pale chanting goshawk looking for his next, or her next available meal. Obviously using the well-adapted eyes, forward focusing, so binocular vision, allowing this animal to really judge distance, but also the structure of the eyes, what enables it to give it really, really, really good eyesight. So sensitive to movement will be rods within the eye, and then sensitive to color and as well as detail would be the cones. But obviously having those rods where movement will be the telltale sign for a pickup of prey. And rodents dominate this bird's diet, and where this tangled vegetation or undergrowth creates a perfect habitat for rodents, but there's little gaps between bushes. And this is where this bird would find or seek an opportunity just like that, from a rodent crossing from one side of the bush to the other. And obviously you've got to think about it pinpointing, the movement of the rodent, it flying, having enough time to get to the rodent, and then talons out, pow, to grab it. They've also recorded taking hares, which are fairly large prey items for a bird of this size. But perched up and just looking for the next available meal is what this gorgeous bird is doing. We had a fork-tailed drongo busy mobbing it now. Obviously a drongo is not scared of any PCG. Well, from that PCG not doing much, let's take a look at something else. We see the biltong has changed color and has got now a beautiful green. Angela, do we get falcons in Tswalu? Yes, we do. Red-neck falcon has been recorded here. Red-footed falcon has been recorded here as well. Falcons are a little bit smaller in size, and they're really beautiful and very agile, amazing birds. So 1 or 2 falcon species, whereas in this PCG is a little bit larger than that of a falcon. But nice question there, Angela, thank you. So our biltong strips have now changed color. They've gone from that browny, reddy color to this beautiful, vibrant green. You can see that change is definitely something starting, and change is good. Change is good for a lot of things, but really remarkable how you can see through the seed pod itself, and you can actually see the developing seeds. Look at that. That is absolutely beautiful, David. So one can actually see 4 to 5 seeds within a seed pod. And this is obviously where the seed is really nutritious, because the seeds itself is the nutritional content of that structure. But the tree would have some chemical defenses to try and deter herbivores, because obviously for it being such a delicious little item right now. And they'll change color. They'll go dark brown, the seed pod will become hard, and then they'll start dispersing. And that little vessel is a very important function to ensure that seeds don't get eaten before they are ready, and then as well as it is ensuring that this little vessel can be then transported. If it falls on the ground, it gets a little bit lighter, wind can then push it, animals can pick it up, a few will go through the digestive tract of animals. Some seed pods actually need that. They need to go through the tummies of animals in order to germinate. Some flowers and plants actually need fire in order to germinate. So depending where you are, seeds and seed pods have different methods to which they would become germinated. But these guys still have a little bit of time. But it's remarkable seeing life starting within a pod. And it's a brand new little plant within those little seeds there, a brand new little blackthorn, which is incredible. Life starting and blooming around us. There's 3 in that one. It's just beautiful color. Look at that. So obviously one way of dispersing seeds held in a vessel, but then you get an older version of plants that would be producing cones, and obviously different reproductive method, let's say at that. That's how plants are split in South Africa. Is obviously cone producing, and then these seed producing plants, just like you're looking at now. But that vessel is a very efficient way of ensuring that the safety of the seed is continued, but then also dispersed later. We're going to send you off, and we'll see you shortly. That is so beautiful.
Hello, hello. Here we have the Maasai ostrich, or the common ostrich. He's in the middle of nowhere. For a reason? I think so. And maybe for no apparent reason. I think he is walking, he's heading somewhere, and he has found a safe haven in this open patch. And so he has decided to feed a little bit, enjoying the grass. A bird that enjoys plenty of insects, small reptiles, and plenty of seeds and grass. Flightless, yes, in its category. I'll give you the penguin, the emu, the kiwi. Those are the birds in its category. Can't fly, but can run very fast, almost 40 kilometers an hour. And an added advantage so that nobody gets them, the ostrich, they can dodge and dart at very high speeds, or what they call breakneck speeds. They will dart and outmaneuver a cheetah, a leopard, or a lion. Their eyesight is very good, and with their height, it's an added advantage. So being out in the plains, they will spot many predators before they get too close. The eye is very big. I've never really gotten close or even touched one, but I understand the eye is almost as big as their brain. I leave to confirm that, but that's what they say. And yeah, the ostrich is one of the only few birds with two toes. Andrew, you say this ostrich is looking for love. He is in love. Yes, as I always say, this is talking without using any words or without saying anything. Yes, that's how they get these bright colors. Remember, they are able to change their coloration during the breeding season, allowing them to show off to the females that they are ready for breeding. Breeding months for ostriches, mostly here in the Masai Mara, is September, October, November. That's when we see lots of males in this coloration, mating color. And they go in flocks of up to 20 to 30. In some arid areas where they do better, you can see up to 40. Here in the Mara, it's always common to see about 5, 6. The most I've seen is around 13. Yes, and looks like he's listening to us. Unlike, birds that have got very tightly, arranged feathers with barbs that join them to allow them to fly, the ostrich doesn't have that. It's a very rough feathers. So that's another reason why they cannot fly. And they're so heavy to be impossible to carry their weight. So this is the Maasai ostrich, and I'm sure from a distance, definitely a girl is watching and it's heading this way. These colors allow the female to present itself after he does a mating dance. That is so cool. You won't believe it. He goes down on his knees and then flaps his wings from one side to the other while, making a certain noise. And if the female is impressed, she will present herself. It's just a very cool, dance. Interestingly, for the females, strange lad, Jumbo, do these birds ever jump? That's an answer from me for another day. Maybe one of my fellow guides has seen them jump, but I've never seen them jump. I don't think they jump, but I live to be corrected. They don't jump. Strange lad, and here looks like he's really enjoying the grass. They make a noise that the first time I heard it, it really got me by surprise, because it's almost the same, it sounds almost the same as the roar of a male lion. And if you have enough time, I'll play you, the sound, and you'll hear it's almost like a lion. Yeah, well, it does sound a little bit interesting, with the sound, but it actually sounds like Well, I'm gonna move on. Let's take you to another live location.
So we've made our way back to a watering hole, and it's quite a large watering hole where there's not too much going on at the moment. There was one young male impala in the distance which has moved off. He looked a little bit nervous. But right in the middle you can see there's a pod of hippos. And they're all snuggled up together. And when they had to come back this morning from feeding nearby, at the moment there's a lot of food around for them with the new grass growth. And when they arrived earlier this morning, it was a little bit cooler. So they probably went to go lay down and snuggle up next to each other for a little bit of warmth. But they're very relaxed at this point, and I don't think they're going to be extremely active. Probably have to take a little rest after walking around most of the evening. Now, we had a look yesterday and we saw a very, very small baby hippo with the mother somewhere in this watering hole, and I'm wondering if we might actually get another glimpse of it. There's no other large animals coming down at the moment, but there's a lot of bird life around at the moment. You can hear some hornbills doing their display in the background. There's also a blacksmith lapwing around this area. And And I think not long from now we'll probably have the heat force some animals nearby to come down and come and have a drink. Sharon, that's a very interesting question. Do mammals have different blood groups like humans do? I don't know. That would be really interesting to find out. So I'll see what I can find out, research it a bit. I would assume so, but I really don't know. Oh, I can see there's a little bit of, we've got a blacksmith lapwing there. Moving around the edge of the water looking for some food. And this little bird is actually quite an interesting one. I know that there's a pair here and they must have a nest somewhere along the edge of the water. But I've noticed that they're quite aggressive towards other small little birds. I've seen them chase off three-banded plover. On occasion, they even try go at the thicknees, the water thicknees. And the doves. And you can see from the hippo side, I just thought I saw something move, but one tried to raise itself out of the water. Now I was hoping that maybe we might see the little one come up. Often we get to see the little ones come up on the mother's back. So Rita, why are hippos and crocodiles enemies? I don't know if they are really enemies. I'd say they actually coexist quite peacefully or relatively peacefully under circumstances. You'll often see crocs off on their side of the water and the hippos off on their side of the water. There might be a little bit of aggression or tension if the crocs get too close to the hippos. And I guess that might just be a natural instinct from the hippos reacting towards the fact that the crocodiles are predators by nature, and for a baby hippo, any predator is a potential threat. And maybe that is why the adult hippos perceive the crocodiles in that way. And they are big enough, they are strong enough to actually hurt or even kill a crocodile in an extreme case. That's why you usually notice that the crocs stay well out of their way if they don't have to go close, they'll rather stay off. And also during droughts, when hippos die, and the ones benefiting is the crocodiles, and they often watch that. And what I was saying earlier is that there is sometimes the baby hippos, after they get tired after a little while and they're in water where it's too deep and they can't stand, you often find that they might get up on the mother's back where they're a little bit raised, and then they can breathe easily without having to worry about a thing. Not sure what happens to hippos if there's no water. They move. Hippos are quite capable of moving on the land. They do have certain limitations in terms of how quickly they dehydrate, and they do need water on their skin regularly. So if they have to move, preferably in cooler weather. But come the end of the dry season and the watering holes, the water in it looks very little and like it might dry out. And then the hippo will plan ahead, and once it gets a cooler day or an overcast day or even a night time, most often at night time actually, it might use that time to move out of the area, move into an area with a more permanent water source, or at least something for the foreseeable future. Sometimes you find big male hippos or other hippos in small little pools, mud pools and things, and that might just be because they are technically moving through an area and stopping along the way where they can during the day. But they usually go to areas with more water. And then a lot of them do suffer from the fact that there's no water. In which case they'll provide food for the predators in the area, and that way pretty much complete the circle of life.
So welcome back to the Mara. I think when hippos fail to get water, it's going to be really, really tough. Thank goodness that the Mara River has at least been flowing now, and the hippos are enjoying. Now here we have at least a small herd of zebras. It seems like these plains are starting or beginning to be deserted. I only see a few herds. I've not seen the wildebeest yet, so probably maybe they've been moving towards the border. I can only see a few zebras, and sometimes, always during the migration, we always see these zebras going in last, because of how these two species feed on the grass. So the medium or the small grass that is left behind after the wildebeest have eaten is what the zebras take an advantage of. You can see all this plain is only short, medium grass, and that is what they're enjoying right now. Because zebras are not ruminants, they don't have a four-chambered stomach, they're not animals that will chew cud, they're bulk grazers. And that's the reason you see they have very big stomachs. Sometimes the stomach get a little bit bloated. It's because of how much they eat. Little scratch on the ear there. You can see them also swishing of their tails. So when zebras are around, or whenever they walk, they always associate themselves. Sometimes you find the horsefly or the botfly, and if you look closely, each and every zebra is switching off their tails, which is a way of getting rid of those kind of flies. Now they'll keep on enjoying this grass because it's very rich in protein and calcium, which is a good source of food. And when they're present here, they at least utilize that, because we've had a very good weather pattern where we've seen rain in the east, west, north, south, and actually that has made this plains game be here. Now those are also resting. You can see they're facing the other direction of the wind, where the wind is blowing off on their faces. And because of this very stubborn fly that always follow them, and that fly, sometimes they lay their eggs on the nostrils of this game, which is called a botfly. And sometimes those maggots crawl up into their brains and they keep on eating. And sometimes it becomes very, very tough for them. So it's a good way of actually facing off so that the fly does not come to them. Sometimes they'll be in a mixed herd. Sometimes they'll be walking by themselves. And it's always nice watching zebras because to locate a predator, we always watch in which direction they're facing because they have very sharp eyes. And that's the reason why sometimes you find zebras mixed up with wildebeest, topies, and other plains game. So I'm going to sit here for a little while as I watch these zebras graze and take you over to another live location.
Zebras are black and white, but this flower is pink and yellow.
Gorgeous flower from the sickle bush. I think we're in for a bumper flower year this season. Should be fantastic. Hi, my name is Mike. Behind the camera is Seb, and you've joined us at Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy. And we've been having a bit of an interesting morning, looking for lions. We found tracks on a boundary. Unfortunately, they headed north, far away. We heard them calling far from the boundary. We spent some time at Leopard Dam, but not as busy as it was yesterday. And now we're checking the northern boundary again, and we've got these beautiful flowers here on the sickle bush, which, yeah, I mean, you can see there's lots and lots of them are about to flower. There's a few flowers that are already emerging, and this is a great plant. Sometimes they refer to it as the Chinese lantern bush because of those beautiful flowers. You can see there's a lot of them that are still green that will start flowering wonderfully. Can't wait till they all go. It's laden with the flowers, actually very heavy. Can't wait till all these colors pop out. And next to it, there's another interesting plant, which is called a flaky bark thorn, which has a flower very similar in color to the yellow part of this one, but it's more like a round pom-pom. So they're not quite ready just yet. As Seb zooms in there, you'll see those green circular objects. Those are the flowers that will eventually start to turn into these yellow pom-poms. They're really, really nice. So it's going to be a bumper season for all the thorny trees. We've already seen the knob thorns flowering incredibly, and these will be the next ones. It's really nice. These are no longer called acacias. It used to be Acacia exuvialis. It's now Vachelia exuvialis, the scientific name, and that's to do with these straight thorns that look like these and the circular round pom-pom flowers, which will attract a lot of insects. I think last year was quite poor. We didn't see many flowers at all because the rains, although were nice, they came very early and then they didn't stick around. But I think all the plants have been saving up their bioenergy. And this year, as soon as these gorgeous rains came with this nice warm weather, they have all started to shoot in abundance. Look at those very sharp white thorns that you see there. These things will cause you a little bit of concern. Don't stand on one of those. Not pleasant at all, I tell you that much. Remember my brother once, he and I were playing a bit of hide and seek, and he ran and stepped on one of these, and that was a very exciting story. He had to go to the doctor. It wasn't so pleasant for him, sticking out the top of his foot. Well, we're going to be sticking with this plant for just a little bit longer. So anyway, I want to go back to that sickle bush because it's really quite a cool plant. So this is sometimes called the A to Z of medicinal plants because it just has so many different medicinal properties, of which one I know quite well is if you chew these leaves up. In fact, I'm going to try and see if I can reach a leaf. There's a leaf with a horrible... So this leaf over here, it's a nice green leaf, and if you chew this leaf here, it's got very fine feathery leaves. If you chew this and apply it to if you've got a wound, let's say, it can be a poultice. It helps your blood to clot and bind with on the skin, which stops the bleeding, and it also has some antibacterial and microbial properties. The sickle bush. So when you chew this, it's real good for wounds. And then you wrap your wound in some sort of a bandage if you can get one. Remember I talked about the bushman's poison bulb, which is poisonous when it's wet, but when it's dry it makes these nice fine leaves. And you can put that over a wound, and it will protect it from dirt, getting dirt in there. such a gorgeous tree. And in fact, we got good. Oh, there goes a really cool bird. Oh, it's gone now. There was a green wood hoopoe flying over us, sometimes called the laughing old woman. Anyway, let's try and do a bit of a drive. I think we can do it. We've got really good signal here. What do you reckon, Seb? I think we can go for a little bit of a drive. Let's see what else is around in this area.
Yes, welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari. So after appreciating those beautiful seed pods, something else got our attention, and we just jumped off the vehicle and we were gifted by this wonderful little surprise. It is a juvenile. Oh, there's the adult. Wow. That's the male. Wow. This is a juvenile Prrivate Batis. And the larger, more vibrantly colored one there was the adult coming in, the male. Beautiful to see this. This is the first time I'm seeing a young fledgling Prrivate Batis, and you can see from the mottled appearance that it's still a young individual. It's also not breaking. Look how it's flapping its wings. Lightly vibrating its wings like that. That's also a bit of behavior to show the parents it wants to be fed. Oh, incredible. So it was actually the sound that got us first and foremost. So these birds create beautiful nests, beautiful woven nests. There is a little cup nest on a branch, but the skills at which they do it to keep the nest concealed is remarkable, using lichen, using a little bit of spider webbing, even moss at times to conceal the nest. David just trying to get us into a better position here. The little juvenile has moved off deeper into the bush. There's the adult on top. And there's the juvenile slowly making its way through. So we thought we could find the nest at first. That's actually initially what we were looking for. And then we just saw this little thing not breaking cover. And then on a closer investigation, we can see it's a juvenile. Just through there. So David just lining us. It's a little tricky with all these seed pods, but you can see how well concealed this little bird is. Because a raptor like a pale chanting goshawk or a falcon would see this as a very easy opportunity. And you can see the protection that this blackthorn provides, not only with the thorns, but the seed pods now too, making it very difficult for one to see this little bird. Because its wings aren't developed, it can fly, but maybe only 5 meters. It's not an efficient flying bird at this point in time. So the parents will be providing a lot of food for it. So they would come back here 10-15 minute intervals and feed this little one so that it can grow up to be a strong adult. Got it. Very difficult in there. There it sits. All right, from this fantastic sighting, we're going to send you off to one of our colleagues. We'll see you shortly. Very hard. Yes, the adult back here.
Well, it seems as if someone's getting food. These youngsters here in the Pride would love some food, but it's all turned into a proper little snuggle session. But what has happened, everybody, which is quite interesting, is the second Avoca male has arrived. Now, first you got one over here on the left. There is Mohawk. He's been with them this whole morning. Now, I'm not sure who was with him last night, but Blondie arrived moments ago, gave his brother a little head rub, and then plopped down in the shade. So apparently one of the Avoca males was on Mala Mala mating with the Kambaku female. I was just having a look, and I didn't really recognize him in the photographs. I know James Richard saw that photo, so please let me know, James, which one of these two males it was, because I don't think it was either of these two males. But then I've been wrong before. He is snarling quite a bit in the photo. But a mating session with lions normally goes on for 3-4 days. And this male's only been missing for 2. So maybe it was a very short romance. But if he has been all the way down in Malaman and he's found his brother again, he found him by smell, which I find quite incredible. Obviously came walking along, and he would have picked up on the scent of the lions not far from Twin Dams, and he walked right here. Then again, they do have enormous nostrils, and I could probably follow fresh lion smell if I was walking with my nose on the ground. Especially these guys today, they're smelling quite ripe. I think they're still smelling of the rotten hippo they were eating 3-4 days ago. There's a lot of love here, isn't there? We watched Amber Eyes there. She's in the middle. She arrived and she decided she wanted to be Little Spoon. She's the one there. She plopped down in front of her sister, allowed her sister to lift her arm, and said, I want to be Little Spoon today. And now they're snuggled. So much love, isn't there? Lion prides. A very close-knit family. You see all 5 of these females are touching each other. All of them touching. And the sun is starting to burn off that little bit of cloud that generated. And I'm sure in a little while, half of these lions are going to find themselves exposed in the sun, and they'll need to move. I don't think they'll be too far, though, this afternoon. Some nice tall marula trees around, so they'll probably find themselves within a radius of 50-odd yards from where we sit. Happy to have had the lions this whole half of this week since they arrived on Tuesday. Limeni, the biggest brother, the dark mane evoker, he's in the north. He's been with the Telemati pride for months now. He seems to prefer the attentions of that pride, and these two seem to prefer the attention of this pride. I don't know when last they met up. I think we had Dark Mane walking through Djuma in, I think, end of May, June. He went and obviously met up with these boys, or just did a territorial patrol, and then went all the way back north again. It was a quick little turnaround. I'm sure they communicate through calling every now and again just to reaffirm. But he's been on his own in the north with that pride for some time. And both prides, everybody, are currently with 9 cubs, which is quite lovely. Lion population is booming. So 50, I'm not sure. I know that one of the young lionesses was mating a little while ago. I wasn't here, so I'm not sure which one it was. It was before my last stint, and it's less than 3 months ago. So it's possible one of the youngsters, the sub-adults, is pregnant. This one right here. I'm not sure if you can look at the nose. You see how pink the nose is? And then she's got a little bit of a belly. And mammary glands are exposed at the moment. The sub-adults who haven't yet had cubs, their mammary glands are underdeveloped. This one's got a little bit of a paunch there on the tummy, doesn't she? Now, I can't tell if this is one of the adults. And they're all adults now, but I can't tell if it's one of the older girls or if it's one of the youngsters. The general consensus is the young lionesses still have very pink noses. It's the general, it's not always. And the older they get, the darker that nose becomes. But then it's also a lot of food in there. When we saw them last night, these lionesses were full. And that's why they haven't moved anywhere. Who knows what they ate. Finally, no males to eat all the food and no cubs to compete. 7 lionesses had a nice meal on their own. Perhaps a zebra or a kudu. It definitely was more substantial than an impala. But we're going to try and move into some shade, as I'm sure our dark male, our voca males will shortly do the same.
Beautiful. Good luck there with Steve with his pride of lions. Hopefully, they're probably just lying down. It's about the same with this giraffe. The herd of elephants that we have all of a sudden run past Gary Dam. Now we're on the eastern side of the Gary Dam. I couldn't actually keep up with them, but they have showed us the male giraffe packing off there in the shed, and he's chewing his cud. As you can see what he's doing with his mouth. The process of chewing, takes place sometimes when they are stationary, like what he's just doing there. This is actually one of the male giraffe, bull giraffe. Beautiful prehensile mouth. And balded horn, which is actually a patch of the white on top of this one. And there's no hair growing in there, so it's quite easy to tell wherever there's a giraffe. Mostly females, they are fluffy hair on top of this horn, then it's a female. But sometimes the size can sometimes tells you. A lot of time males go big in size, females slightly short in size. So averagely height for the male is oxpecker land in that animal. So is anything 6 meter tall, 5.5 meter tall. That's the male. Where the female sometimes up to 4.5 meter tall. So the oxpecker just arrive, trying to get inside of that ears. Sometimes they pick off dirties, anything, insect, probably ticks around that animal. But they also benefit from that animal not only picking off the ticks, but while they do that, they pluck off the fur of that animal or any of the animals for their own materials, nest material. They would use a lot of twigs when they do that sometimes, but they're for smoothing up the nest. That's a final building. Just before they lay eggs, it's going to be nice, smooth, like sponge. And they need a lot of hair on animals, these birds. Then he's so kind of like politely enough to let that bird inside to that ears. Is actually playing an important role. Most animals, they wouldn't really, or they won't get rid of anything on their ears like that, but that bird would be able to help them. Look, all the fold of the neck also behind the ears as well. It's get plucked off. As you can see, this bird. And they have a special claw able to hold on an animal, not to harm the animal. Sometimes just grab and move around the animal's body. Looks like it's probably something that bird is trying to pluck out off there, but it's playing kind of harder to get. Red bull oxpecker they only associate with any of the other animals except for elephants, but they do sometimes have their own time away from the animal. This is when they take care of their chicks, but also they move away of animals as it gets dark, because they weren't just going to move all day or night, but only day creature moving around. So it works better for a giraffe chewing cud, also standing up. And it's so easy for him to actually bring up the cud up to the mouth, as you see him now just stop. If he actually managed to focus on the throat and the cud go up to the mouth, be re-chewed again, and every time he stopped chewing, this is when he swallowed. Sometimes chewing doesn't take longer. Also, to swallow doesn't take longer. Or regurgitate doesn't take long, even though it's a long neck animal. It's got a kind of a special pressure that pushes the cud up to the mouth along that esophagus systems. And then our oxpecker just thought it's so important to roost right on top of behind of his horn. And I have an advantage of see far. When he's packing off like this, anything move around here, you will able to see it. They're one of the longest animals around, giraffes. And we're looking at the southern giraffe. Male always sometimes separately away, same as a female. Sometimes you do find the females on their own, and then it applies the same sometimes with a male. But these females that are taking care of their young one seems to remain in a small group. It's a journey of giraffe or tower of giraffe, and they're all static. And all they do is just take care of their young one. You see, giraffe, they're one of the animals also that are sometimes easily to lose their baby, the females. Because it comes from how they raise their babies. Sometimes they move far from their babies, 50 yards, 100 yards away from the baby while the baby rests, lying far. And a lot of time get hunted. If the baby is still young, can be taken by male leopard or lions, roughly. But separate away from their babies, when they return back to the scene, they find their baby's gone or died, and they do that. So I'm going to carry on, check on the eastern part. In the meantime, I will be taking you to another live safari.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. And we have found some giraffes. And they are, well, there's a couple here, but this one that we've got in the screen at the moment is staring us down. It has been feeding on the short shrubs around it there, which is quite interesting to see. Like we always think of giraffes having these tall necks so they can feed on the tallest trees and have that competitive advantage over the other animals. And yet these giraffes have come into an area specifically for these smaller bushes, for the leaves of these smaller bushes. Now the leaves that the bushes that they are feeding on at the moment are sickle bushes, and the leaf structure of the sickle bushes is like a small little feather, and it is protected by these hard spiny thorns. And so these little leaves of the sickle bush are very nutritious. hence why they're protected by the thorns, but also that's the reason why the giraffes have come into this area to feed on these little sickle bush leaves. And if you look at the color of the leaves, they're really, really like bright green, and that's because it's all new growth. So it's all new little leaves that are starting to shoot through. Oops, buffaloes are running. Nature lover is asking, are giraffes ruminants? And yes, they are. And the brilliant thing about giraffes is if they are ruminating, because they have such a long neck, when they regurgitate that cud, you can actually see the little ball of food coming up and going down the entire length of the throat. And the buffaloes that you can see in the screen now are also ruminants, nature lover. And you can see there's a little bit of dust in the air there. I don't know what gave them a fright, but they are sort of mixed in with these giraffes. And then there have been some warthogs running around in between the giraffes. I think what might have happened is a warthog might have gone running through the herd of buffaloes and spooked them. They seem to have calmed down again. But it's peaceful scenes this morning. It's really, really hot, but we've got some cloud cover at least today. But one thing that I'm really glad about is that we don't have the wind that we had yesterday. The wind was howling, and so today it's nice and calm. So you might see just behind the giraffe there's a interesting looking tree, which is actually a euphorbia, a relative of the cactus family, and it has a tree-like structure. But myself and Gert are going to keep going from here, and we're going to see what else we can find for you this morning.
So welcome back to the Mara, where we've come across two species of birds. We have the Egyptian geese and we have the grey-crested crane, or the Ugandan crane. It seems like one of them is actually sitting on a nest. The one to the left, you can only see the crest popping up on the long grass as the wind is blowing the crest. So these birds are known mostly to breed after the rains. But here in East Africa, we've seen these birds breed all year round. So the two, or they pair for life, where you find that they also help in parenting, they also help in sitting on the eggs. So once the female has sat for a little while, you find that the male will come and sometimes support by sitting on the eggs. If they have eggs there, cluster, which sometimes they lay about 2 to 5 eggs. It might even take about a month, that is the incubation period, for them to have new chicks. Interesting thing that when the chicks hatch, they're also precocial, where they're able to run within a few minutes after they hatch, which is very important for terrestrial birds, birds that don't always fly. Even though they can fly, they always see them walking on the ground looking for food, because these species are omnivores. The crested crane will eat on snakes, they'll eat on seeds, grain. Sometimes they eat, I've seen them going after rats. While the Egyptian geese are normally grazers, you'll see them eating grass only. Very nice to see these two species cohabiting together. Now they always pick a very good spot where it's favorable for them as they nest. So right here, it's actually in the middle of a pond. So they'll fly to get there, which is a good way to keep off from predators. Even though the pond is getting dry, that is a suitable place for them to come and nest. The crested crane is an endangered species of bird. Even though we come across birds across the plains, across this savanna, their numbers are going down because they've become a menace to farmers, because they eat on the seeds, they eat on the freshly sprouted plants. So farmers always put insecticide or pesticides to protect the seeds as they want them to mature and have very good plant of harvest. So these birds will always come in big flocks into those farms, into those farmlands, and as they do such kind of feeding, when they take the grass seeds or the plants that are spreaded out, they always fall victim to the insecticide or the pesticide that are put by farmers. So that is the reason why these birds are endangered. I always love when they're doing the courtship dance. You always see them honking, displaying of their wings as they fly to attract a mate. Very, very interesting to see. And I'm sure that is what happened before these two get to be here and before she came to lay the eggs. Now the other bird, the Egyptian goose, they always pair. So it's very nice to see these two species here, and they always pair for life. A very nice spot to relax and a very good place where it's, of course, away from danger. I'll wait here to see if they'll take turn to nest there as I take you over to another live location.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. I would be lying if I said it was definite, but the speedy little tortoise that you can see in the bottom of your screen there might be what spooked the buffalo, because they're all having a having a good look at it as it's walking past. Look at there's a buffalo that's coming in to investigate now. Keeping a good eye on the tortoise. I don't know, maybe the tortoise is what spooked them, but there's also a warthog wallowing in the back there. And there's a little puddle of mud that the warthog has just gotten out of. And let's have a look. Yeah, he's going to rub on that tree. Get right in there. There's lots going on here, so we were about to move on, and then we decided let's go and have a look at the buffaloes. And yeah, now the giraffes have come back and joined the buffaloes. There's a warthog. There's a tortoise. There's even wildebeest joining, but you can't see them at the moment, just behind a bush. But how's that? There comes the wildebeest. He's just gone under the tree. Oh, and the tortoise is still heading straight towards us. He had a like a blob of mud on his back, which I don't think he got. I don't think he got that up onto his own back. But I had a look with binoculars, and it looked like his legs and stuff were a little bit muddy, so I think he did cross through some of the mud, but he must have gotten a bit too close to one of those buffaloes, and it seemed to have flicked a blob of mud onto the tortoise's back, but it looks as though it's fallen off now. But he is on a mission, eh? I agree. Our Laura Moore is saying that this is a very brave little tortoise. Yeah, I mean, to mingle with buffaloes that are 500-600 kilograms, and you're a 2 or 3 kilogram tortoise, it's pretty brave. But he has confidence in his shell. We now have the giraffes also interested in that little puddle. I think there might be a little bit of water on top of the mud, but it wouldn't be ideal to drink. Let's see, maybe the giraffe will try to drink. But I mean, we've seen warthog wallowing in there. The buffaloes have all walked through there. Oh. Didn't look like it enjoyed that at all. And down again. I want to see if any... So well, from where we're sitting, we're a little bit low down, so I can't actually see if there's any like pool of water that giraffe might be trying to access. Oh, yeah, it's definitely gulping water in there. You can see the throat moving. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera. There we go. And water running out of its mouth as it flicked up. So there's definitely a little pool of water there, as well as, I'm sure, quite a lot of mud along the edges. That warthog, when it came out, was shiny all over, absolutely caked in mud. And certainly water, the giraffe slurping away there. And then the wildebeest in the background as well has joined for a drink. Oh, here comes the warthog. You see the warthog here? Oh no, he's turning away. Oh, he's leaving us. See how shiny the warthog is? Its tail even sticks when it flicks up to the side. Its tail gets stuck to its body. Quite a big water. Oh, there it comes. Quite a big warthog, and it is a boar that you can tell by looking at those warts on the face. So the ones underneath the eye, and then males have that second wart just above the tusk on the side of their face, like halfway down their snout. Females don't have that second wart; they only have the one beneath the eye. Maybe he's going back to the mud. They are brilliant little creatures, eh? Now the giraffes are getting really stuck into that... going for water again. They're feeding on that little thorn tree that's just above the mud wallow. And the one just behind that one that's drinking, there you can see it's feeding on the small shrub above that giraffe that's bent down. And it's interesting that they're all feeding on these smaller shrubs, but it's obviously because of the fresh new growth, the very soft and juicy new leaves that are coming through. I think it's easy on the palate, and it's really easy for them to digest, but also they all know that those new little leaves are very, very nutritious. What a peaceful scene, eh? Beautiful, beautiful giraffe. Oh, look at the horn on that one that's bending over now. Oh. The one at the furthest at the back, it's going to disappear now, unfortunately. That one right at the back, I just noticed now, she's got there, her head's just sticking up. Look how skew her ossicone is. She's got one very, very skew horn that's sticking up the top there. And she's now drinking where the wildebeest was drinking. It's always fascinating watching them bend down, no matter how many times you see it. Lee Mini is asking me, what is the biggest giraffe that I have ever seen? Sure. Well, the giraffe that we get in South Africa, the southern giraffe, is quite a big subspecies of giraffe, and so I would say probably a giraffe that I've seen here on Phinda was a big old male giraffe, a big bull, and sure, I would say he was probably close to 2 tons, and he was very, very dark markings, almost black, but he was very, very old. He had lots of fur missing around his neck, but yeah, easily a meter, or yeah, I would say close to a meter taller than the fully grown adult females that he was with, so around about 5.5 meters. It was a very, very tall giraffe. Alright guys, Gert and I are just going to sit and enjoy this scene for a little bit longer, and we're going to send you off to another live location.
Well, from the beautiful scene of giraffe tortoise to one of our most, distinct birds of prey, the long-crested eagle, unmistakable. Yeah, this is a bird that hunts from one perch, very, very much like most other eagles of its size. Remember, these guys have got amazing eyesight, capable of pinpointing the smallest mouse or a grasshopper in the grass, and they can fly at lightning speed to get it off the ground. They have talons to grab it, and also a very strong hooked beak for that killer bite. They pair for life, and usually they lay 2 eggs. The female will lay 2 eggs in a nest constructed on a high tree, which tends to be almost like it's got a hole in the middle, and incubation period for the eggs is around 1.5 months. And yeah, the one usually hatch both, but very much like other eagles, they practice what is called siblicide or canism, where the older sibling will try and take all the food from the other one, and actually if he hatches like a day or 2 before the other egg hatches, he'll try and throw the egg out of the nest so that he gets all the attention. Surprisingly, parents pay no role or pay no attention of whoever tries to be dominant, and it's found all over the Masai Mara and East Africa, the long-crested eagle. And here looks like it's been hunting, and it's a good area for it to get food, and so it's staying here for very, very long. It's a nice area full of bushes, shrubs, so I think there would be grasshoppers, mice, snakes, all those that could be here, and that's why it's here. Well, it's a very beautiful bird. Look at it, perched there. I'm sure it can see inside my eye because I'm very close. Definitely there is something below it, and that's what it's been waiting for. Unmistakable because of those, crested feathers on its head. Always got them. That's how you can easily pick up that it's a long-crested eagle. Remember, most of these birds live a very long time. Real green, did you say, is there another eagle with such a long crest? I don't know if that was the question, but we do have another one called the crested eagle. Oh, is it the only eagle with such a long crest? Yes. I don't know any other with the most pronounced crest more than the long-crested eagle. We have the crowned eagle, but it doesn't have that distinct, those feathers, hanging out there. Usually they fall backwards behind the head, but here I think the wind is blowing in that direction, and that's why they're face forwards. Definitely, it's here for a reason. Normally you find them in very high trees, and maybe whoever he was coming for has noticed that it's here, and so they're staying put and still, and that's why it hasn't gone down to get anything. Okay, I think it's best for me to try and find something else. Yes, that's a beautiful view of the Mara. Yeah, let's take you to another live location.
Beautiful. Eventually we again managed to find our beautiful herd of elephants. Now they all look relaxed again. Not sure why they all of a sudden ran away from that last position where they were. Could be that they probably heard sound, they were not too sure. Which they do that sometimes. They're quite a big animal, but if there isn't a sound they're not too sure about, you can't see what it is. Even probably a lizard or a mice sometimes shake harder in grasses. Is it trying to move away from them? They're also going to move away immediately. But once they know what it is, then they won't just going to run. We're just going to stand their ground, trying to see what's around. There's another elephant right in the thicket there. They kind of spread around in this area. Could be the way that they are here now. This was the aim for them to reach this far, because there's sometimes an experienced animal, elephants. When you see them move in that kind of a mission they do, sometimes it's all about switching from place to another for their feeding wise. I mean, water is quite a plenty of water. Everywhere is a pile of water since we have that last rain a couple of weeks ago. They don't have to go to a big lake for them to drink. No, they can drink as they go. Makes quite easy life. Then they will spend a lot of time. They can choose any place they want to spend time in it and do the best feeding. So important when there's so much grasses. that saves a lot of trees around here, remember? We thought they are destructive, but they are big animals. And in the winter time, they push all trees, most trees that they want. They get roots out of them. And that's where the destruction takes place in the winter, but less destruction happening in the wet season because greenery is in place. Food stored already, grass is up, green. And then they're all just going to enjoy feeding on grasses done, pushing these trees. And they ever debug trees this time of year is that they feel like they really want to. Kim, welcome to the beautiful show this morning. You're right, I'm not sure what bird was it, but I'm just gonna listen carefully again now. You're right, Kim. If you mean that bird is still calling, because there's kind of a few different call of birds in this area. So from the hoopoe, that calls like whoop whoop whoop, whoop whoop whoop. And there's also cape turtle dove who's also calling. But I also heard emerald spotted dove as well. That was also calling around here. So this is what to remind, even if you're not around here, but you are around here because you're with us live and everything happened. You immediately able to witness or able to hear it. Isn't that great, watching the wild animal? At the same time, there's a lot of a beautiful nature sound coming from all different type of birds, especially when it's tightly quiet. Wind died down. Sounds of birds are so great. So I'm not going to spend much time with these elephants. I'm searching around here for possibly a leopard. I'm not sure. Was it called this morning, but nobody find it. In the meantime, I'll be taking you to another live safari.
It's always nice watching elephants, but here we have one big giraffe bull, and you can see there's some oxpeckers on his neck, on his back, trying to pick up some ticks. And over in the background there's another giraffe. Look at his massive neck. Look at his head. So such dominant bulls always walk from one home range to another, always coming to join groups and families which have females together to come and investigate whether the females are in estrus or in season, so that he can be able to mate with them. Very elegant looking, how big and muscular he is. Very strong legs, as you can see. Now in defense, those legs come in handy because I've seen them fighting over predators like hyenas and even lions, where they use their front feet to sweep and to kick with their hind legs. They are very strong and sharp hooves. Sometimes those hooves can actually break the back of fully grown lions. I've seen them when they're fighting off lions, and I tell you, it's a very big fight to bring one such big giraffe down. Always dominant bulls will always be standing in a very unique way, very stretchy, always raising their heads up to show dominance. And of course, when they come across younger bulls, they always want to show that they dominate. And these bulls will always walk from one home range to another. Now in the background, you can see there's another giraffe. That's a mother, a female giraffe, with some little young ones actually feeding on some bushes there. So this male giraffe has come to investigate whether some of these females might be in estrus, but it seems like no one of them is in estrus because they have calves, and you can see the calves in the background. One of them is actually feeding. Look at how that female is actually chewing the cud, while there's an oxpeck actually grooming her neck. So these females will always leave the youngsters alone. Dizzy, thank you so much for your question. I'll estimate that head to weigh about 7.5 kilos. Very big neck, very big, strong head also. You can see the oxpeckers actually on his neck. Because of their long necks, they sometimes cannot actually reach or groom themselves behind the necks, and those oxpeckers come in handy. Now, the bigger the giraffe, the bigger the head, and sometimes also the anatomy of giraffe says that the bigger the head, the bigger the giraffe, the bigger the brain. And sometimes big giraffes like this, the brain can weigh up to about 3.5 to 4 kilos. So during the cooler part of the morning, like right now, you can see them feeding. Actually, he's just come from feeding on that bush. And over to our left, thank you, Big Jim, he's panning slightly. There's another one feeding. Now, there's also a difference in behavior to feeding when you look at females and the bulls, because sometimes you find these young females will always bend their necks down to reach, like how she's feeding on this kaffir bush, while the bulls will always go on a tall stretch to feed. The long tongue come in handy. You see, she's actually nibbling on a nostril. Their calves are left somewhere safe, so they can watch over them, and also it's a good way to protect them from predators. They always come back to nurse them. Sometimes these mothers can go over about 3 kilometers away, and then they'll always return to suckle the young ones. So these two have about 2 calves, 1 calf each. And those calves, when they're left in the nursery like that, they're always social and they have a good bond when they're together, which is very important because they can also have that social bond when they are by themselves. See, that mother is watching over us as the bull is staring at us. And those two are actually enjoying this beautiful kaffir bush. Sometimes these 2 calves, when they be left together, you'll find them playing nose to nose sniffing. Patricia, thank you so much for your question. I think that I will worry if giraffes will sleep down like elephants. But when sometimes they want to rest, you'll see them folding their legs and then get in a position where it looks like they're sitting, which is very, very important to know that even though sometimes they get to that position, it's a vulnerable position. So it is most likely to find them sitting other than them lying down like elephants do. So those 2 calves will be weaned at around 12 to 14 months. And normally they're left or they become independent when they're about 15 to 17 months. Although it's not unusual to find giraffes females with males, sometimes you find younger males, younger females, and females with the calves together, but always the big bulls will roam by themselves, like this one here. What a very nice sighting. I'm still going to hang around here and see what this giraffe is up to, because he keeps on staring at us. Maybe he wants to come a little bit closer as I take you over to another live location. He's still staring at us, not moving any further. But this is one thing that they always do. This is a resting time. So when the temperatures rise, you find that giraffes will stop over in the middle of the plains if there is no cover. Sometimes you'll see them actually under a tree resting. And this is one way that he's resting. Actually, you can tell that he's resting. You can see the oxpecker doing a very nice job there. But this giraffe is chewing his cud. Preferably they'll feed during the early morning and the late afternoon, and then during the hot temperatures of the day they'll be resting. Pick a spot where they stand alone, or maybe in a group where they'll be in that position, keep on twisting and turning his head. For those who are joining us now, we're coming to you live from the Masai Mara. For your question and comments, #WildEarth. For young viewers, kids question at wildearth.tv, and in the YouTube comment section at FC. Seems like both of these giraffes are staring at us. I like the way they stand tall and keep on chewing their cuds. I'm going to take you over to another live location.
You can never get tired of looking at giraffe. If you do, sorry for you. But look what we have found snoozing in a nice big camel thorn. This beautiful Verreaux's eagle owl just taking it easy on this nice cool Friday morning. You can see with those pink eyelids he is semi-snoozing right now. Still have not come to a conclusion of why those eyelids are pink. It was a great question asked a couple of weeks ago. Still no solid concrete information as to why it is that color. It could be a change from juvenile. Juveniles also have these beautiful pink eyelids, but a very defining characteristic on this bird, along with its very large size. And you can see with the semi-circular disked face that it is an owl. Wonder where his partner is. This one does look a bit smaller, so this would more than likely be a male. Males are smaller in terms of size and in weight. Male would weigh about 1.7 kilograms and the female about 2.3, 2.5 kilograms. So she is a little bit bigger in terms of overall size and body mass. Always such a treat to see. Look at the size of that beak. Whoa. You can see those beautiful feathers just above his eyes. back in the day, they were thought to increase or allow the bird to hear better, those tufts on top of his head. But now, obviously proven that is just there for camouflage, to aid in breaking up the outline of this bird's body while at rest in a tree such as this. Really nice to see. If you go a little bit more down there, David, you can just see the talon. There's one big claw. Oh my word, look how big those things are. Wow, big feet. Obviously very important tools to capture its next meal. And now just used just to perch. Yeah, when a bird sleeps, like I said, in a relaxed position, its talons or its feet automatically tense up as the bird rests. You always think to yourself, how does a bird not fall out of a tree as it falls asleep? Obviously, when we fall asleep, our muscles start to relax. For birds, their ligaments actually tense up, so the bird has a firm grip on a branch such as this, and that obviously enables it to sit perched, perfectly positioned while snoozing like this big beautiful owl is doing right now. But what a sight. Wow. So with its partner, it should be in another big camel thorn nearby. They won't always be within the same tree. And it's been about, 2.5, 3 weeks since we've seen one. We saw one a couple of weeks ago. But look how well camouflaged it is within that tree. And then later this afternoon it'll become a little more active onto the onset of darkness. That's where this bird will use the cover of darkness as an advantage. And also its wings its feathers are specially designed in a manner which enables it to fly very quiet in comparison to other birds. Just adjusting. Wow. Pam, do owls drink water? Pam, so from rodents and other birds that this large bird would consume, they absorb quite a lot of moisture from their... Oh, look, its eyes are open there now. They absorb quite a lot of moisture from their food content. Obviously, the animal will be swallowed whole. And if it had to drink water, I'm sure it would do it under the cover of darkness. So just going down to the water's edge and then just scooping water, obviously with the beak, and then swallowing it obviously down the esophagus. But a lot of moisture would be obtained from prey items such as mice and other birds. Obviously all the liquid and all the nutrients absorbed, and then undigested material will actually be regurgitated in the form of what we refer to as a pellet. So more than likely small meals we'd find around this tree over here. It's normally found around resting spots or nest site where you find this indigested material. But a lot of the moisture would be obtained from prey item, Pam. And then, like I said, I think they would do it under the cover of darkness when they have a bit more of advantage. Because everything is going to see you, especially your large size. You are a predator, and you want to remain concealed. So if predator and prey interaction, you want to have the element of surprise. So definitely under the cover of darkness. Nice question. If I do find anything about drinking, I definitely will let us know a bit later. But really nice question. Do they drink? Yeah. So its beak is quite dirty, so it might have had a meal recently. You can see a little bit of debris on the left-hand side of its beak, or left-hand side in the picture. So a large item that would be obviously ripped using that hook-like shaped beak. I mean, even a flamingo, this bird has been recorded at taking out. And the flamingo is a pretty big bird. Amazing. Multi-talented vixen. Nice comment there. Very multi-talented. Yeah, that's a nice one. I like that one. Great one. Thank you. So anyway, we're going to leave this owl to be, I think. Leave it resting here. We're going to continue a little bit further down west here, see if maybe we can pick up on its partner. Obviously, when it comes to watching animals, you never want to overstay your welcome. Just want to make sure we don't disturb it too much. All right, we're going to send you off to another location. We'll see you soon.
Well, another beautiful herd of Cape buffalo. This is one of the largest herds here in the triangle, and as you see, it is just beautiful. We estimate there are about 500 in this herd, and they're very in peace here. They're spread out everywhere. All these are buffalo. They are not wildebeest. They are buffalo, Cape buffalo. Very spread out. We call it a breeding herd. Very spread out everywhere. This is one of the biggest herd we have here, and they're doing very well, and they're getting bigger and bigger. But amongst them, there is a hippo that is very happy, munching away inside there. You can see it. Yeah, he's right there. It's just beautiful scene. Yeah, Cape buffaloes are grazers and they feed on grass entirely. They say they're herbivores, they graze, and they need plenty of grass each day and plenty of water. So they're always on the move, especially a big herd like this one. It's called a breeding herd. A mixture of male, females, young ones, half-growns. Everybody is here. It's just superb. Remember to talk to us, #WildEarth. Questions and comments are very welcome. It's just such a beautiful, scene, as you can see. I'll let you enjoy that as I prepare to move to the next location.
On. Right, so we are in this scene here. Just spotted the snake, which is a black mamba, but it's so quick. So we're looking around here. It was on top of these little bushes, but it vanished. It just came off to the ground, and it's vanished. I can promise you, it was probably in meter and a half black mamba that was right. We almost just drove past it until you say, whoa, snake. So, and they're very well camouflaged once they're on the ground, and they're just gone. And it surprises me that it was not such a bird here, alarm calling for that snake. It's just because maybe just came out of the hole around here, and they're trying to start to get hunt. But it seems to be, it's just disappeared. It's so sometimes quite easy when these snakes, they're up in the trees, just like what was happening there when we drove past here. And once they're on the floor, which they use advantageous grasses to go through, and really you hardly spot things like that. But yeah, it was a decent one. So sorry that I couldn't actually able to share with you, everyone. But if it was that a chance, you would have really terrified. It was actually a big snake that. But it's gone. Hopefully we get to see it, or probably went to the hole around here. Don't think the hole is far away. So So yeah, I'm gonna carry on with my journey, search around here. Sometimes you think you're searching around for things that you're pushing to find, and then you find something else. So that was also one of the signs that we have a deadly snake around here. I'm gonna move on, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna be taking you to another live safari station.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. And we did, the action sort of died down at that little mud wallow that we were having so much fun at, watching those giraffes and warthogs and buffaloes. And we came up and over a hill, and we were sitting on quite a high vantage point at the moment, and we were just scanning with binoculars, and we've spotted these 2 black rhinos, and it looks like a cow and a calf, and we have managed to see a 3rd black rhino, which is just in the bottom right of your screen. The top right of your screen, sorry. And he is lying down, so that is a bull. He was with the cow and the calf earlier, possibly investigating the reproductive status of the mother of that calf, and has just moved away and lay down. And that cow and calf were also lying down, but they stood up just before you joined us. I'm not sure why. There is a little bit of a breeze blowing now, which might have upset them a little bit. And they're just standing up to see if there was any potential danger, or if it was just the wind blowing through the twigs around them. But it's quite a pretty scene. We've got lots and lots of zebras around, and the green shoots of grass are coming through. So this is one of the areas of Phinda that had a fire through it in winter, and so the zebras and also white rhino have been spending a lot of time in this area feeding on the new shoots of grass coming through, but the black rhinos are in this area for the the shrubs. So like we saw the giraffes earlier feeding on the sickle bush leaves, the black rhinos will be doing the same thing. They'll be taking advantage of those fresh and soft new growth coming through. Oh, the bull is up now as well. I agree, Gemma. That's a brilliant point, and it's so wide open. And on the edges of this open clearing where they actually are, there's some really nice drainage lines or gullies, natural gullies in the landscape, which I would have thought that they would be lying down there in some shade. But again, it is overcast today, but it is starting to get warm, and they are literally lying right out in the open. So my assumption would be that they have been feeding, and probably because in anticipation of today being so hot, must have fed through last night and in the early hours of this morning, and now after having been very busy feeding, they've just gotten tired, and where they stopped feeding, they just decided to have a rest. Maybe with the clouds, they were not too worried about the sun heating them up lying in the open areas, but I definitely would have thought they would have gone for some shade at least. And you see the bull is now just investigating what I think he must have heard something that got him to stand up. And if we go back to the cow and the calf is now settled down enough that he lay down. He or she, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but mom is still up. But I'm sure her eyes are, her eyelids are getting a bit heavy, and she's probably going to lie down very shortly too. So yeah, Gert and I are going to leave these rhinos to get their rest in today, and yeah, we'll see what else we can find on our way back.
All right, we can't see much for right now, but we can definitely hear it. And David's gonna get us in a little bit closer and a little bit closer. The sound is evident. You guys can hear the sound. I'm standing maybe about a meter away from this beautiful insect. I'm not in the way there, David. And that is the beautiful shrilling noise made by a cicada or cicada.
Welcome to Vulture's restaurant. A table without no courtesy, no patience. It is fast come, fast served, and if you can get to it, get it. This is what they do, and they're best at it. We have 3 of our common vultures here. The one standing up high is called the Ruppel's Griffon, which is the second largest vulture we find in Africa. And then the most common one with a darkish blackish head and dark white feathers, very many of them to the right. Those are African white-backed vultures. We do have one very big guy to the left there, and you can see his pinkish head. He keeps popping everyone now and then. It's called the lappet-faced vulture. It is our Africa largest vulture. You see him? Yeah, there is his one. He's behind the guy on top. And these are birds of prey. Oh, he's getting into trouble. There, those two fighting. Yes, those are the lappet-faced vultures. Yes, these guys are part of the ecosystem, and they play a very big role, because if the hyenas don't get to carcasses or jackals, they will get there. Their amazing eyesight will allow them to do that from far distances. It just needs one to fly down, and somebody from about 30 kilometers away will sense that there is something to be taken care of, and you'll see big flocks come by, and they properly utilize their job. When an animal is dead, believe me, even if it's intact, they'll eat it whole. They'll open it up. The lappet-faced vulture usually does that, and then everybody else gets to the dinner table. This is how it goes. Enjoy it for a little bit as we take you to another live location.
Always trust the vulture. It knows best. So, an unbelievable sound being produced by an insect that's only about 3, maybe 4 centimeters long. And there's nothing wrong with your TV, there's nothing wrong with our feed. That is the sound being produced by these sound-producing organs under the abdomen called tymbals. And if you would believe me, that is an individual click. That where the tempo is sped up so fast to make this continuous shrilling noise. There's 2 of these plates under the ventral side of this animal, which are contracting and relaxing to fluctuate a plate that produces a click. And they are fluctuating so quickly that this sound is being produced. Remarkable. You'll see that the body is also cryptically colored. So if you look at the wings, everything about the body design, the color is enabling this insect to remain concealed. And obviously this high-pitched trilling noise, if you look at birds and how they produce sounds, especially forest birds, sounds that are high-pitched are a lot harder to locate. So having the form of camouflage obviously is a big advantage, but then that sound is very, very hard to pinpoint where it exactly is. And then if he has to evade, obviously a very special adaptation, something that's only been seen 3 times through evolution, which is the ability to fly, which insects do, especially adults. Not only to evade predators, but then also to find new food sources, to find mates. It's a really amazing advantage. Insects, birds, and then mammals. Achieving flight, really remarkable ability, but what an amazing sound. And for our new viewers for today, this sound in South Africa we normally hear around about December time, Christmas period for us in South Africa, the Southern Hemisphere, and we incorrectly refer to these insects as beetles. They're not beetles, they are true bugs. So in picture there, you can just see in between the legs. If you look very closely, let me see here quickly. Oh, it's a little bit hard. But it has a long, thin, tube-like mouth, which is used to pierce plants. And this whole group of bugs have this specialized long feeding tube that is used to pierce plants or even pierce animal bodies to suck out the nutritional content. But this is a cicada or a cicada, and it's part of the true bug Hemiptera family group of insects. Obviously having jointed legs, still part of the insect group, but like a subfamily with inside this very diverse grouping. But really, really, really nice to find one, especially out in the open, and also it producing its beautiful noise, which is now kept at a nice regular tempo, a nice even sound, so that's attractive to all the females. Both male and female have ears that are used to then suss out where everybody is, but then now the female can select which individual sounds better. Nikki, you hear them on hot summer nights. There we go. Hot summer nights, just like we're having temperatures warming up now in South Africa, those organs, when it's warm, are able to produce the sound at a constant medium. When it's cold, you'll find that there's actually like a break in the sound, which is not really nice. So when I'm trying to serenade my lovely lady, when I'm trying to sing out to her, I want to sing to her in a very beautiful voice, nice tempo, nice depth, whereas in this insect uses the temperature to keep that sound at a nice constant medium that is attractive for them, so that they can come in where this individual can have a chance to mate. So those warm summer nights that you're experiencing there would be exactly what we're experiencing here. It's nice and warm, and that's perfect for insects. Insects want warmer temperatures to operate in, 25, 28 degrees above, and then not too high, just into the mid-30s. That's a perfect optimal range for insects. But that just blows my mind that that's a click that's being produced. So how I can best describe it is that if you've opened up a jar, and that jar has that little clicking ability to obviously ensure its safety, that hasn't been opened before, that organ is producing a sound in a similar manner, but just really quickly. So it's the mating period now. So now he'll try and attract a lady. He'll successfully mate, hopefully. The female then find a tree where she'll use that proboscis to scar the tree, open up a part in the tree. She'll then lay the eggs in a row. The eggs will develop. They will then come out as little nymphs, baby little insects. They'll drop to the ground and they'll bore under this tree. And under the tree they'll find the roots, and on the roots they'll actually use these specialized mouth parts to feed off the sap from the tree. That's what they feed on, sap. and then obviously hatching out next season as an adult to start this process all over again. We're going to send you off somewhere else, and we will see you shortly.
So we've had a morning of searching. It was an extremely hot morning and we didn't see too much. There's a breeze that's blowing now, and then once again in the riverbed we came across this family of kudus. You can see they're all standing right in the shade. And what a brilliant spot to be standing. I saw one's even gone to go lay down. You can see that one is just doing the cut. She's not actually actively feeding off the trees near her. And I think this might actually be a spot where they might settle for a little while to find shelter from the sun in the shade of a dead tree. You can see there's a young one. Must be tough for a young animal to keep up with the larger ones. Moving a lot, so it's probably decided while they're standing there, it might as well take the time and rest a little bit. At the back there's a young male as well. They don't seem bothered at all. Something's just drawn his attention. You can see, look at the ears going. And as we were driving this section, we almost drove straight past them, especially in the shade. You can see from a little bit further away, they blend in completely, except for the one at the back who's silhouetted against the light background. The rest of them disappear. Perny Lulu, you love those ears. I think those ears are very, very important to these kudu. In fact, I think it's one of their biggest senses that they rely on. Just look at that female's ears. So she's just swallowed her cud ball. There it comes back up, you see. And then something drew her attention. The first thing that moves there is, well, she looks in the direction, but the ears. Those massive ears is exactly what helps them to be able to move in dense areas like the spots around the riverbeds. And maybe not this one, but there are, like that smaller one, would be very much at risk from predators. And that's why these animals need to be adapted for the specific area that they move in.
Yes, welcome back to the Vultures restaurant, and they are doing the best to make sure that the carcass doesn't last very long. They are known to do that without hesitation. In this dining table, there is usually a lot of, anger and a lot of bullying. As you can see, somebody is just wasting too much time trying to show off instead of eating. But the bigger and the more intimidating you are, the better the chances are for you getting as much as possible. This is an amazing bird of prey, such that they nest a long way from here, a place called Gold Mountains, in the western corridor of the Serengeti. And every morning, these guys fly a very long way to come here, almost 150 kilometers. And they fly quite high up there, using their amazing eyesight, they will spot, a dead carcass a long way. Also, they can smell it, and so lie down quite fast to come and utilize it. Apart from their senses, they do use, others to detect, where it is. If they see a few going in that direction, they'll also fly in that direction. It is a very threatened bird, both three of them, because they've been facing lots of poisoning from farmlands, and also the poison has been killing them quite a lot. Over here in the Mara, we can see a very good number, but they cannot be seen anywhere else. The leopard-faced vulture, the one that is a solitary nester, so you always find a pair by themselves, and the rest do, nest in big flocks. Well, it's been a roller coaster morning. It's been a very beautiful morning. Thank you for joining us. From me and my cameraman and all the directors, my fellow guides, all I can tell you, tune in to this afternoon game drive, and all I can say, it's Kwaheri. Goodbye.